Welcome to the section 4 of this digital marketing course, and we are going to be talking about developing a social media strategy. That's what we're going to be covering in this particular section of the course. So if marketing is about putting your message where your audience hangs out, which it is, then social media is a no-brainer. That said, many businesses fail to fully coverage and leverage social media in their marketing plans. They dabble, sure, but their strategic efforts end with content and advertising. That's a big mistake, and here's why. Today alone, in the United States, 79% of US internet users are on Facebook. 6 out of 10 Americans stay updated on news through social media, while 35% have used social media to look for or even research a job. And these same numbers are reflected worldwide. Is it any wonder marketers are going social to grow their business? Trouble is that going social isn't as easy as it looks. There's a lot more to social media marketing than simply posting to Facebook and Twitter. In this section, we cover the basics of a social media program that becomes successful, including methods and metrics, the business roles that should own your social media marketing, and also the lingo you'll use to talk about it. Keep in mind, there's a big difference between a social media manager and a community manager. Yes, I agree. Both manage social media efforts, but their focus is completely different. Here are the 4 stages in a successful social cycle: listening, influencing, networking, and selling. All 4 of these stages are key to reaching social media success, but all of it hinges on stage 1, social listening. Listening gives you the insight you need to perform the other 3 stages well. It helps you develop a strategy that will give you influence, a strong network, and lots of leads and sales. The key, of course, is to get your information in front of your prospects and customers, where they all hang out online. For most businesses, that includes 1 or more of these top social networking sites. If you're worried about the time drain that social media can be, don't worry. Social media marketing isn't about hanging out with your prospects and your customers. It's about executing the social cycle while minimizing costs, which means you need to master the methods and metrics for all 4 of the stages. Let's cover social listening. As with any marketing strategy, you need to start with your target audience. That's why social media marketing starts with listening. This is a key to create a successful social strategy. Whether you're paying attention or not, people are talking about you and reaching out to you on the social web. They're sharing their experiences with your products. They're talking about the things you're saying or doing. They're even asking you questions. Other comments aren't so positive either. And some are downright negative. They need immediate attention so followers know you're present and accessible. It's a lot like customer support, and in the same way, it can help or even hurt your public perception. Every day, your social phone is ringing. If you don't answer, it leaves a bad impression. On the social web, it's a bit like leaving your customer service lines unattended. But when you do answer the call, listening and responding appropriately, you can connect with your fans and your followers and customers. Find and fix issues you may not be aware of, and build incredible goodwill. The key, of course, is to make listening your number 1 priority and use your insights to inform the other 3 stages of the social success cycle. What are the goals of social listening? What are you listening for? When tuning into social conversations, your goals are to track public perception of your brand. Then, identify the topics you need to be talking about. You need to keep a pulse on the industry, where it's going, how it's being perceived. You need to perform customer research and also conduct competitive research. In particular, pay attention to these 5 things: your brand, topics relevant to your industry, your competitors, influencers, and also public-facing people of your company. Let's talk about your brand. Watch for mentions of your company name, your products, or any other identifying information. A good example is this. Apple might watch for mentions of the Apple Watch or anything related to iOS. When we talk about topics relevant to your industry, you want to stay on top of the pulse of your industry, so listen to the topics people are bringing up, their questions, and their hot buttons. A good example is Apple might follow conversations around wearable tech or smartphone cameras. For your competitors, what's being said about them? Is it positive or is it negative? And what are your competitors saying about you? Apple's competitors might be Android, or it might even be Jeff Bezos with Amazon. They'd be wise to watch for mentions of them. For influencers, listen for the topics thought leaders and influencers are talking about and look at the content they're producing. They're all cues for when and where the industry is moving. Apple should probably keep an eye to John Gruber, for example, who's a big content creator or influencer, or even Giga1, for example. Public-facing people in your company, you need to make sure that you watch for mentions of your leaders and influencers. What's being said? Is it positive or is it negative? Mentions of Tim Cook and Arthur Levinson can reveal public perceptions of the Apple brand. Your aim is to tune into the pulse of the public sentiments towards your brand, your industry, and the topics that relate to your brand. In a sense, it's reputation management, but it can also help you perform real-time customer service and identify product or content gaps that need to be filled. Listening is only half the equation. You also need to respond to the things you see and hear. A strategic feedback loop is the best way to do this. So what is a feedback loop? It's a process you create for your teams to use when addressing issues that arise during social listening. It clearly maps out the people or departments that issues should be routed to and who has responsibility for resolving them. Here's how it works. You put a social media manager or a team member in place actively listening. When your social listener sees a complaint or issue, say in Twitter, they'll perform a triage, responding with an empathetic, "you've been heard" response, and then route the issue to the proper team. This happens within 12 hours of the complaint or the issue. Once the issue has been forwarded to the appropriate person, this specialist will then respond to the issue, aiming to resolve it completely within 24 hours. Here's why it works. Having a social media listener is well and good, but in the real world, they often don't have the specialized knowledge or the authority to resolve the issues that will arise. And sometimes they don't know who should take care of those issues either. That's how issues gets overlooked and forgotten, resulting in untold damage to your brand. But with your feedback loop, that won't happen. So what we want to do is kind of give you a flow chart that can map out the most appropriate departments for resolving different issues. For example, who in customer care will handle customer service issues? Who in the content team will handle content issues? Who in the product team will handle product issues? So your social listener knows exactly who to alert when issue arises, and your social media team is able to quickly respond to anything they see. Let's break these things down in 3 basic steps. For social media marketing to work, you need to make it human and authentic. Even when you're dealing with a complaint, your aim is to align yourself with the person, de-escalate the situation, and then provide a compassionate human touch. So here are the 3 steps for doing that. The first step is respond quickly. Social media moves quickly. Make sure you perform triage within 12 hours and resolve issues within 24. Step 2 is empathize. Make an empathetic statement as soon as possible. For example, "I'm sorry you ran into this," or "I know this is frustrating," or "I can understand how important this is to you." The third step is move it into a private channel. If you can't solve the issue in a sentence or 2, take it off public channels. Private messaging, email, DMs, or a phone call allow you to talk in detail without the rest of your followers adding their 2 cents to the discussion. This approach demonstrates that you're listening. It also allows you to express compassion. And by moving the conversation to a private channel, you make people feel as if you're committed to giving them a real solution to that situation. So what are the metrics that you should watch? You need to look at your reputation score, also known as your sentiment level. You have to find out are people happy or sad when talking about you? Is the tone negative or positive? You need to look at your retention rate. Are you retaining customers and followers? And if not, why? Take a look at your refund rate. Are you able to resolve issues without having to issue refunds? Next thing is your product gaps should be identified. What suggestions are people making for new products and features? Then, you need to identify your content gaps. What content should you develop to answer questions and resolve issues before they arise? Let's move on to social influencing. At this stage, your aim is to lead and direct your followers' opinions, attitudes, and behaviors. And since you've been listening, it's relatively easy. You already know the trending topics and the conversations taking place, so adding your authority voice is the natural next step. What are the signs that your influence is growing? You're getting more engagements, people are retweeting or sharing your posts, and people are responding to your posts. Your traffic numbers increases, right? That shows influence is growing. That means people are clicking on your links. You start to develop a greater mind share. People share their questions, thoughts, and opinions with you, and they eagerly seek interactions with you. You may then become recognized authority and a brand people watches. Keep in mind this stage of the success cycle is influenced by the social listening you did in stage 1, but the reality is that you'll continue listening at every single stage. In fact, once the cycle is going, you'll perform every stage every day. So what are your goals for social influencing? During this phase of the social success cycle, you're trying to increase engagement with your brand and your content. You're trying to start conversations around the topics related to your business. You're trying to boost traffic to your site. You're trying to build awareness of your products and offers. You're growing your retargeting list. Now, retargeting is an advanced tactic that can significantly boost your bottom line. Let's look at the metrics that you need to watch in this step. How do you know you're building your social influence? These are the metrics that matter the most. Site engagement rates. Are you getting more social shares and comments? Your traffic by channel. The traffic from your social media channels should increase over time. You need to start offering awareness. People see and respond to the offers you make in social media. Your retargeting list is growing. Through retargeting, you're able to get your offers in front of people who are most likely to buy from you, and they respond by downloading your lead magnets and subscribing. The next big step is your social networking. It's this stage of the social cycle that you connect with other influencers and authorities and begin to move the needle. Social networking is important for all businesses, whether you're just getting started, scaling, or expanding into a new market. It may help you to think of social networking as this live event, except your interactions are online rather than face-to-face. After all, networking is networking, no matter where it happens or how it happens. And it can lead to deep and lasting relationships, both with your followers and potential partners. Each time you publish an article in your blog, produce a new piece of content, or have a new offer, you'll create social media posts designed for the channels you're posting. That gets the word out. You'll share valuable content from peers and yes, even your competitors. If it relates to your brand's primary topic and helps your followers, it's worth sharing. You'll also engage with people one-on-one, both asking and answering questions. But we also want to share content that would help beginning digital marketers. After all, they may someday become our customers. So we share back to basic contents and useful information from other brands. By adopting a similar approach, you won't just attract happy followers, though you'll have plenty of those. By sharing useful content from other brands, you'll build goodwill and strong alliances with other brands you share. During social networking, during this stage of the social success cycle, your aim is to share content that fills gaps left from your own content. This content may relate topically or target people at different skill levels. You're going to create goodwill with brands that are similar to yours. Over time, you want to transform that goodwill into profitable partnerships. We of course have to look at several metrics in this particular stage. To measure the strengths of your social network, watch these particular metrics. Your number of inbound links, number and description of earned media mentions, number of descriptions of earned strategic partnerships. Let's move on to the fourth and final stage of the social success cycle, and that is what we call social selling. This is where social media marketing gets interesting. Finally, after listening to your prospects, building authority in your space, and establishing a strong network, you can start putting your offers in front of people and converting them. The short answer is funnels. But you'll use multiple channels for getting people into those funnels, from blogging to retargeting to pay-per-click advertising. So, for instance, you'll lead with blog content that's perfectly targeted to your audience, and in that content, you'll embed an opt-in offer. Then you'll promote the content in social media. This is leveraging stages 2 and 3 of the cycle. Your social promotion will direct traffic to your content where they'll see your offer. If they respond, you'll immediately make an upsell offer, a low-priced product designed to convert your new lead quickly into a customer. We call that entry-level product, or what we call a tripwire. But what if a visitor doesn't respond to your offer? You'll retarget them with a relevant ad, so they receive multiple touches that could lead to a conversion after they leave your site. The ad takes them to a funnel where they're offered the same or even a related lead magnet, and then an entry-level product. The point is this: don't simply create an offer, create a buying path that boosts the lifetime value of a customer. So what are your goals in social selling? Your goals at this stage are to generate leads to grow your email list, acquire new customers and upsell, increase buyer frequency, turning one-time customers into raving fans. So what are the metrics that we should look into in this particular step? Well, we want to look at the number of leads. Over time, your email list shows growth. Over conversion rates, are your offers converting? Maybe your offer isn't relevant or isn't close enough to your prospect's bottom line desire. You need to look at the buyer recency and buyer frequency. You want customers to buy repeatedly and often. Let's look at several of the relevant roles during social media marketing. Once you understand the basics of social media marketing, you need to identify the people who will be responsible for managing your success. There's no right answer, by the way, guys. It will depend on your organization and goals, but in most cases, you'll find the best solution in one of 3 departments. That's your marketing, your sales, and your PR or public relations. Let's talk about marketing right now. Marketing social media integrates so closely. It's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. And most marketers are already involved in social media since it gives them the 3 things they need to do their job well. What are those? Customer insights, number 1. Number 2, understanding of the trends and conversations influencing their prospects. And number 3, a powerful channel for disrupting the status quo. Because they're already actively participating in social media, marketing professionals could be a good fit for managing, directing your social media efforts. Now let's talk about your sales team. Just like marketing, successful sales depends on being relevant and current. Salespeople often use social media to engage with prospects, identifying talking points, and figure out what matters most to people evaluating their products. That being the case, someone in your sales team may be a good fit for managing, directing your social media program. Let's talk about public relations as well. Your public relations is another good option for taking responsibility for your social media. PR is all about creating a positive brand perception, and it's already customer-centric, which makes it social by default. There's also your community manager. One last source to consider is your community manager, if you even have one. Social media is about being present and truly engaging with your fans and followers. That's pretty much the definition of a community manager. If you already have an active social community, your community manager could be a good fit for taking on your social media efforts. They already create, maintain, and even encourage members-to-member relationships. So as your social media manager or director, they'll simply scale those efforts. Let's talk about a different lingo or words you're going to be needing to know, or definitions in this whole social cycle. Knowing the lingo will help you communicate what you're doing with other professionals. So here are the 5 terms you need to know. Value first offer. What is a value first offer? Well, social media marketing is really just another channel for your marketing, which means you are creating an environment where you can make successful offers. Offers that are appropriate for social channels will include valuable content, lead magnets or opt-in offers. These are designed to get cold traffic into your funnels. Then you have your tripwires, or what we call deep discount offers. Use these to upsell and cross-sell new and existing customers. Then you have a feedback loop, which is you need a system where complaints, praise, and other useful comments heard during social listening are routed to the correct person in your organization. This makes it easy to apply the 3-step social customer service plan. Acknowledge the concern, number 1. Number 2, forward the issue to the right person. And number 3, make the issue of public channels and resolve it in a timely manner. So what is social media bouncing? Much of the success of social media marketing is the frequency of touches. If you're one more than one social channel and people see you on multiple channels, you create what they call a J curve of exposure. That's what we call social media bouncing. A social media follower on one channel is exposed to your brand on another channel. Take Taco Bell, for example. First, you see them on a billboard, then you follow them on Twitter. Your goal is the same, to engage with your followers on all your channels, fully immersing them in your brand. Two keys to successful marketing are relevance and focus, guys. Your topic map helps you stay on brand with both. As a bonus, by narrowing the topic you post about, you are actually increasing the engagement. Take your brand, the products, the services you offer, and your primary message. Then figure out the topics and subject matter that are on brand to discuss on social channels. A good example is for a health insurance company, the topic map would include the primary topic, which is insurance, but it could also include financial management and health. Now, for long-tail media outreach, this is the process of earning mentions from lots of small media players. Your podcasters, your bloggers, your micro influencers in YouTube, instead of a small number of large media players. You see, traffic may surge after a mention by a large media player, but it will soon return to normal. Smaller media channels, on the other hand, have a more targeted audience that's a better fit, and their audience actually listens to them. As a result, a few mentions of these smaller players can give you a higher quality lead that actually convert. You may not get traffic surges, but your bottom line will get a boost. The strategy: figure out who the influencers are in your space, who's listening to them, and whether they're competitors or potential partners. Then build relationship with the small players who are a good fit for a targeted outreach. Let's look at your social media success matrix. We've talked about specific metrics for tracking the 4 stages of your social cycle, but there are a few more metrics that can show you whether you're nailing the social media strategy overall. Here are 3 you need to watch: your applause rate, your traffic by channel, and conversions from social media. Applause rate. Every social share and mention is a form of applause, because let's face it, no one shares something they don't perceive as valuable. Measure the sum total of all social shares: Facebook, likes, tweets, LinkedIn shares, etc., and comments on a piece of content. Traffic by channel. It's important to know where your traffic is coming from. So use a tool like BuzzSumo, for example, is a good one that can measure your social traffic by channel. Lots of engagement indicates you found a topic your audience resonates with. Low engagement tells you you've missed the mark. Ideally, you want to know who likes your content and how often it's being shared. From that, you can figure out what's working and where you need to improve. Let's look at conversions for social media. Once you know the traffic that's coming from social channels, the next step is to calculate conversion for social media. You want to know the percentage of visits from social media that take the action you're driving on a web page. For that, the formula is your traffic from social media divided by total traffic. Ultimately, this is the number you want to impact. The higher your conversion rate, the more successful your social media marketing is. The bottom line is, like it or not, we live in a social world. Your customers are on the social web, sharing experiences and opinions related to you, your brand, and your industry. Are you paying attention? Do I have your attention right now, guys? The approach we've shared in this chapter, in this section, will help you create a strategic social media plan that helps you keep up with the conversations taking place online, as well as getting you in front of the customers and helping you lead, engage with, and sell to them. But there's another more direct way for you to have conversations with your prospects and customers. That's email, guys. And that right there is a vital piece of your digital marketing strategy. Email is hands down the most effective way to move prospects through the customer journey. It's also your ticket to loyal customers and repeat sales. So we're going to be covering that soon in another section. So pay close attention, guys.